Initially a training and logistical support mission in the CAR, it ended with soldiers coming home in body bags. Survivors have reportedly told of being outgunned and of a shootout with rebel child soldiers. There's also speculation as to why South African troops were there. Now there's talk that more of our troops are to be sent to Central Africa.
A small contingent of soldiers are in the CAR, perhaps about 20. But the concern is that although troops may have been withdrawn, troops have been redeployed to both Uganda and the DRC.
Opposition MPs want to step up their oversight responsibilities. They want the president to clear up discrepancies between what he told them in December and what transpired in recent weeks. The DA will submit a request calling for a debate and to force the president to withdraw all soldiers from that region. The AFP supports the move.
The president needs to come to Parliament and needs to come out of his hideout and tell us exactly what is going on, what went on, and what he plans.
But the ANC says opposition parties are jumping the gun.
A joint sitting in itself cannot take any decision. It has got no mandate to take any decision. A decision on a recommendation of a committee can only be dealt with and be decided upon by an individual House of Parliament, such as the National Assembly individually and the National Council of Provinces individually.
Opposition parties also demand full disclosure from the Defence Minister and her generals.
They would need to explain exactly the circumstances surrounding the tragic loss of 13 South African lives. What are the logistical support, what air support, what ammunition support did our troops have on the ground, what intelligence support did we have, and why didn't we embark upon a strategic withdrawal?
The SANDF won't comment, saying it's a political matter now. Parliament's Joint Standing Committee on Defence plans to meet on Thursday to discuss the issue. President Zuma will attend a memorial service tomorrow for the 13 dead soldiers. Meanwhile, in Central African Republic, coup leader and self-declared President Michel Djotodia says he will also serve as the country's defence minister. Earlier, he said he'd stay on as president until the next elections, only due in 2016. Members of his Seleka rebel alliance were awarded several other government posts. They include the Minister of Mines, Security and Public Order. Asane Beche, SABC News, Parliament.
For more on the story, we are now joined live in the studio by SANDF spokesperson Brigadier General Xolani Mabanga. A very good evening to you, Brigadier. Thank you for joining us. Can we start with the memorial service? Can you provide more details around that?
Good evening, and good evening to the viewers too. What we are going to have tomorrow is a memorial service that will be held in honor of those who passed on or perished in the Central African Republic. The service is scheduled to start at 11:30 tomorrow morning. And the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Republic of South Africa, or the South African National Defence Force, and the President of the Republic is expected to be the main speaker.
Now, what can you tell us about the soldiers that were injured? Are they still in hospital? What's their condition like?
Out of the 27 South African National Defence Force members who were injured and evacuated to hospital, 10 are still in the hospital in stable condition. Most of them have been released.
From what we understand, there's still some troops in the Central African Republic. What's going to happen? Are we likely to see that you withdraw from the Central African Republic, or are you going to bolster our presence there?
Well, as the South African National Defence Force, at this stage, we still await government authorities' direction in terms of we withdraw all troops that are currently in Central African Republic or we reinforce them. So that will depend on the political direction.
Well, talking about the political direction, President Jacob Zuma and the Defence Minister are meeting in Chad to discuss this issue in the Central African Republic. What is likely to happen, in your opinion? I know I'm asking you to guess, but in terms of our involvement in the Central African Republic, because there's been so much of talk about why were we there in the first place?
Well, I wouldn't like to make some speculations on the area of politics because that's not my area of responsibility. I'll leave that to the politician and government authorities.
Okay, so we'll wait to see what happens there. In terms of media reports, there have been media reports that we have in fact sent troops to Uganda. Any truth to that statement?
Not to my knowledge, in as far as that is concerned.
And before we let you go, can we quickly talk about the crash with the SANDF soldiers that occurred in the Kruger Park? What can you tell us about that?
Unfortunately, during the routine patrols that we were conducting as Operation Rhino is the South African National Defence Force anti-rhino poaching campaign or support. And then it happened that one of the patrol team had that incident whereby the aircraft or the helicopter that they were traveling on had to crash. The circumstances leading to that are still being investigated. Unfortunately, we are not able to release any reports into that regard. However, the investigation is underway.
Okay, we know that 5 soldiers have been killed in that incident. Their names, I'm told, have been released. In terms of their funeral arrangements, what can you tell us? Are they likely to receive military honors?
It's still early at this stage to discuss the funeral arrangements. As you know, that the incident has just happened. The families were informed and then we released the names today. In terms of the funeral, there are 2 types of funeral services that the South African National Defence Force gives to its members. One being the full military funeral service, and the second one being the semi-military funeral service. Now, what does each entail is always discussed with the family, and the family will choose either of the 2. And then on the basis of that, we prepare and support the family according to that.
So that will be done in consultation then with the families of those deceased soldiers.
Definitely.
Thank you very much, Brigadier General Xolani Mabanga, joining us there to talk about the Central African Republic, as well as to talk about that crash involving SANDF soldiers that took place in the Kruger National Park.